Hey guys, this week I was going to post a video about traveling through Japan and the Philippines with my dad, but something more pressing has come up that I really need to address. America has reached a tipping point, much like the rest of the world, that to me is serving as a huge call to action. I'd really appreciate if you guys could just hear me out for a few minutes, and then I promise next week I will go back to being my usual, silly, giant mess of a person. Thanks. So, in the middle of my trip with my dad, the world was stunned as Donald Trump was actually elected president. Most of my friends and I had assumed that Trump country was just a boisterous redneck minority that you only encounter when going home to visit the parents on holidays. On TV, they're Klan leaders and greasy women wearing shirts inviting Trump to grab their pussies. Obviously, a lot of people who were ashamed to publicly support this man showed up to vote for him. Most of the time, I'm around people who would be crying at this news, but my dad is a 75-year-old surgeon from South Carolina who claims to be a moderate but listens to Bill O'Reilly's audiobooks while sleeping. In truth, my dad can't wait to make America great again, whatever that means. There were times on the trip where he would get pushy trying to make me see his point of view, and at one point I actually snapped at him and let him know exactly how disappointed I was in him for supporting such a reckless candidate running on a terrifyingly misogynistic and xenophobic platform. During the 10-day trip, we were eventually able to hold some kind of dialogue and actually listen to each other, to some extent. I've learned early on that once somebody believes something so firmly that it becomes a part of their identity, no amount of facts or arguments will change their mind. The shock of this election has shown us that the growing opposition of people's beliefs today is much more subtle and deep-rooted than anyone imagined. We've allowed ourselves to become so divided and therefore hateful and distrustful of each other that an almost comically unpredictable man has managed to hijack the highest office of the most powerful country in the world. Each and every issue our world faces is unfathomably complicated, allowing anyone who digs hard enough to amass an arsenal of facts and anecdotes to support a convincingly well-rounded and supported belief. The simplest way I've been able to boil down the problem is our inability to listen to each other and keep an open mind. Both sides are guilty of this. My dad was glued to the Trump trail on Fox News, and I brought in even more attention to the madman with my parody videos. We both fed the beast. To make lemonade of this election, I'm choosing to believe that the majority of Trump's voters are motivated by what my dad claims motivates him. In a sense, it's the same stimulus that sparked the Bernie Sanders movement. People are sick of the political establishment and the way that the parties are run and the illusion of choice. They're disgusted by the in-your-face oligarchy, the endless bureaucracy, and backdoor deals that are holding ours and other countries back from efficient progress. These people believe that the rich ruling class controls the media and that it's time for a radical change just short of a revolution. They want it so badly that they're willing to overlook pretty much any of their candidates' flaws just to get that one thing. People are saying enough to dynastic politics by voting against another Bush or Clinton rather than for a candidate whose beliefs they actually support. Our political history has taught us not to trust any of our leaders, therefore making it acceptable when a candidate like Trump shovels on the lies and impossible promises during debates and rallies. People like my dad say that they don't expect Trump to keep any of his outrageous promises because my dad doesn't believe that that's what politicians do. He believes that Trump is much more liberal than the character he's created during this election and was only saying what's necessary to get elected. The most poignant example he pointed out to me was how Clinton and Obama were both against gay marriage when they thought that that would win them the votes. We're making lemonade here, but there's only so much you can squeeze from a lemon. Of course, there's the darker side of Trump country. It's not even the far right, it's just like the right over there. It's the racist, ignorant, misogynistic, xenophobic impulse motivated by feelings rather than facts. But guess what, guys? That same impulse and feeling is within all of us. It's not exclusive to cisgender white guys. Hey, it's like how all of us Americans feel that just tiny twinge of Catholic guilt whenever we do something that might be a bit iffy. You know it's there. It's there within every single person, and it needs to be addressed by finding new ways to openly and honestly communicate with each other. Yeah, no, there's a growing frustration with our culture becoming hypersensitive. Some people claim that the new bullying is done online by political correctness police. Of course, the loudest proponents of this outlook are always the ones who can't take a joke once it's directed at their group. But I don't believe that anger and frustration are primary emotions. Rather, that they are defense mechanisms, just like humor, to cover up deeper insecurities, fear, and feelings of being hurt. My point in all of this is that we, the people, have created our own monster, and we need to accept responsibility for this rather than just trying to throw blame. It's incredibly important that we unify, not only as interest groups that need to band together to survive, but also as human beings, or else some rich, manipulative asshole is going to keep us busy fighting each other while he makes money choking the air with coal, drowning our water supplies in oil, and generally fracking everything up. My first step is going to be in listening. Not just waiting for my turn to talk, or picking out flaws in an argument, or trying to change someone's mind, but actually listening to another person who I don't agree with and trying to figure out how and why they believe the seemingly crazy or hateful things that they do, and therefore trying to connect with them on a personal and human level. My dad is a redneck geezer doctor who voted for Trump. But on the flight home from Manila, there was a medical emergency on the plane, and he was the first one out of his seat to help the man in trouble. I love my dad, and I'm doing the best I can to remember that we're all trying to do the best that we can. Thank you for letting me vent, guys. I really appreciate you letting me get this off my chest. I will now go back to objectifying myself in the name of feminism. See you next week.